The Razzies are heating up for Best Musical. Yeah, definitely. Between the Mufasa, I am your brother clip, and then like the penis, to vagina, to penis from Marie to Perez, and all of the Wicked fans so upset that Wicked did not win a Golden Globe. Trust me, guys, you don't need to win a Golden Globe. Golden Globes have always been bullshit. They're even more bullshit now that they're made up of 350 woke mofos because they were upset that they didn't have a black member, even though they were the foreign press, meaning they are all from different countries, but they weren't black enough, so now it's a bunch of woke people in America. Jimmy Carter had his funeral yesterday, and Donald Trump was sitting there talking to Obama, and that became a spectacle because they were both smirking and smiling, and that's not okay in pro wrestling when you're the heel and one is the heroine. Yeah. Who's the villain now? I don't know. Billions of dollars down the drain, and Donald Trump's president. What else? Fires still everywhere in LA. I don't know. I don't really feel that bad. Guys should have left to move to Austin like me a while ago. It is January 10th? Is it? Is it the 10th of January? It is January 10th, 2025. I am Alex R. Wagner, and this is No News is News.
I think us just don't follow the sky, you know?
However, never before has this court been presented with such a unique and remarkable set of circumstances. Indeed, it can be viewed fairly that this has been a truly extraordinary case. There was unprecedented media attention, public interest, and heightened security involving various agencies. And yet, the trial was a bit of a paradox because once the courtroom doors were closed, the trial itself was no more special, unique, or extraordinary than the other 32 criminal trials that took place in this courthouse at the same exact time. Jury selection was conducted, the same rules of evidence were followed, opening statements were made, witnesses called and cross-examined, evidence presented, summations delivered. The same burden of proof was applied, and a jury made up of ordinary citizens delivered a verdict.
Yes, President Trump, just a few minutes ago, the Supreme Court ruled that they are not going to slow down the sentencing. It's on for tomorrow. Now what?
Well, they called for an appeal, and as you know, they acknowledged what the judge said about no penalty, and there's no penalty. But we're going to appeal anyway, just psychologically, because frankly, it's a disgrace. It's a judge that shouldn't have been on the case. He's a highly conflicted judge, and they called for an appeal. So I read it, and I thought it was a fair decision, actually. So I'll do my little thing tomorrow. They can have fun with their political opponent. As you know, I'm under a gag order from a judge. This is a first. This was an attack of a political opponent. And if you take a look at it, I'm not supposed to be talking about it, so I won't. I'm the first president and probably one of the first candidates in history that's under attack with a gag order, where I'm not allowed to speak about something.
Totally unexpected, Dan. Was not expecting to get that piece of information in the last couple of minutes. We were sort of wondering why there are so many police out here. Obviously, this is a fire scene, and we've been at fire scenes for the last couple of days, and it didn't really make a lot of sense that more and more LAPD were showing up, and then the crime scene unit also being out here. So we spoke to the lead officer in charge, who you saw there, and he was very open about it. He said that they believe the Kenneth fire, which is the latest fire to start here in LA, now at 900 acres, give or take, they believe that someone did intentionally set it, that this is now officially an arson investigation. He said this whole area behind me, the canyon behind me, they're calling now a crime scene, and that they have a person in custody.
Gavin Newsom had an opportunity to have millions of gallons a week, a day, millions and millions of gallons come down from the north. And I was able to get him federal approval from that, from the Department of Commerce of all departments. I didn't realize it would go through Commerce. I would have thought environmental, but it goes through Commerce. I got all of the approvals, and he said, I don't want to sign it. I don't want the water. We don't need the water. I said, you need the water. Your reservoirs are empty, the whole place. You need the water. That was 5 years ago. And I had it all done. The work was all done. We sent it to him. He refused to sign it. And if you noticed yesterday, the hydrants were empty. They didn't have any water, many of them. They said 20%, but now I just heard 50%, and now none of them have water, and that fire's still raging. When he turned that down, I was going to give him unlimited water. It would come down. It really comes down from the north, way up north, including parts of Canada. It's so much water that they wouldn't know what to do with. Just the opposite would have happened. And that's the reason that this happened. He wouldn't do what we wanted. And we're going to force that upon him now. But it's very late, because I think it's one of the great catastrophes in the history of our nation.
For the president-elect or a president to be criticizing.
Is it appropriate for people in your industry to try to create division and to try to create narratives anytime these things happen? Now, you're not as interested in doing that because Newsom is a D. If Newsom was a Republican, you guys would go you would have him nailed to the wall for what they're doing over there. And I know we've dealt with it. We just assume in Florida, anytime something happens, it's going to be politicized by the media. So you guys sitting in judgment of Donald Trump, I mean, excuse me, I think your track record of politicizing these things is very, very bad.
Okay, last question.
Newsom should resign and that the wildfires are all his fault. So do you agree with those comments?
I remember when we had the Surfside Tower collapse, I had people from the Washington Post trying to blame me for it immediately without having any facts or anything. Oh, he didn't declare a state of emergency. First of all, state of emergency doesn't mean you can't respond. It's all that. Excuse me?
Biden did it. I think that's what you said.
Well, but what I'm telling you is you guys are trying to make an issue of it when I have watched from this seat. In fact, when I got elected governor, I was meeting with some of the other Republican governors, and what they would say is, hey, if you have a natural disaster, just know media's coming at you, they're going to do it. It's not the same. That mayor of L.A., if that were a Republican mayor, I could only imagine what that would do. I mean, you know the fires are at high risk, and you try to go to Africa or wherever she was to go on some type of voyage. You should have been there preparing and doing that, and yet I don't see a lot of heat being directed in that thing. And so, you know, I'd like to see some balance on how this is done. You could criticize the president-elect, but I think you also have to hold these other people accountable, and I have not seen that.
You mentioned the Carter funeral today. What were you talking to Barack Obama about?
It did look very friendly, I must say. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it, how friendly it looked. I saw it on your wonderful network just a little while ago before I came in, and I said, boy, they look like two people that like each other, and we probably do. We have little different philosophies, right? But we probably do. I don't know. We just got along. But I got along with just about everybody on that. We met backstage, as you know, before we went on. And I thought it was a beautiful service. But we all got along very well, which is good.
In California, what specifically do you think Gavin Newsom